White Rocket Entertainment, podcast number 960. As temperatures across the country plummet, the Auburn basketball team is heating up, and so are we, as the AAU Wishbone is next. I have our theme music in here, by the way, but we'll leave it out. We won't give the YouTube folks all that have to deal with. If you want to hear our awesome theme song, check out the podcast version of the show. You'll enjoy it. From the frozen, covered over in 2 feet of snow part of Southern Illinois, and once again, I'm asking for a weather report from Eastern Virginia. It's the AAU Wishbone Podcast. John, how are you tonight?
I'm well, Van. It's the snow and ice covered Central Virginia.
That's right. Even Boris has been looking for a lair to hide in because it's been freezing cold for Siberian tigers as well as Auburn tigers. I am your host, Van Allen Plexico, joined as always by my co-host.
I'm John Ringer.
There he is. And we are here at our 960th White Rocket Entertainment Network show. I think I wrote the numbers down somewhere, but it's crazy how many, I'll find them in a minute, but we've got a number. Here it is. I have the downloads. 717,985,000 downloads of the AU Wishbone podcast.
That's a lot of people listening, man. It's a lot of
episodes. It is. It's pretty amazing. We have a large number of listeners in Singapore. I thought that was exciting since I used to live there for a brief period of time.
Interesting.
We have more listeners in Singapore than we do, I think, in Mississippi, which is, I thought, particularly interesting.
What's going on there?
Yeah. We're way out ahead of the other 2 main shows on our network, but we'll talk about that later. So before we get into anything else, as always, while we're digging out of the snow here, it's the Auburn Fun Meter, our weekly look at how much fun it is to be an Auburn fan right now. And I got to tell you, on Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, it was pretty fun. It was a lot of fun. There were a few moments. There were moments that gave me pause, but what would you say?
Whew. 2 huge wins this week. One historic level win we'll talk about. Transfer portal continues to operate. Pretty good. I mean, 9.
Yeah, I was whatever number you want to say, I'm fine with it because I'm up there. It's definitely above a 7.5. It's somewhere up there in the stratosphere.
I mean, you're talking about a 1 week period.
Yeah.
What's something that could really raise the fun meter? A win in Gainesville in basketball.
First time in 30 years. That's right. I believe Cliff Ellis in his earlier days, that might have been right after we switched over from Tommy Joe Eagles to Cliff. I can't remember what year was the transition. If only somebody had written a book going year by year through Auburn basketball history, we could easily wait. But it's way over there on the other side of the room, so I'm not going to fool with it. But I did have a tweet I was very proud of where before the game, I was not feeling confident. And I don't – look, a couple of people on Twitter kind of tried to have some fun with me. That's fine. I deserved it. But have some fun with me because I had said before the game that I said a team that's doesn't shoot free throws well, is on a horrible streak of 3-pointers and doesn't have a lot of big men inside. I said this game could easily end up 100-20. Okay. And yeah, sure. So I'll take all the making fun of after that. But when people were like, how is it going? I would say, well, Florida does have more than 20 now, unfortunately. So I try to turn the tables a little bit just for fun. But anyway, no, I deserved it. Did you see that coming at all? Or did you think it was just, I thought it was something we were just going to have to endure.
Yeah, no, I did not see that coming. And we'll talk about it because it was how they executed that was amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. They did stuff I didn't think that team could do. And I think Stephen was right, Pearl, when he said 3 weeks ago they wouldn't have. Right. They're coming together. They're learning. They're understanding their roles. There was a funny bit I saw in an interview with him where he basically said last year's team, he's like, they said something, the interviewer asked him, how far are they along? And he says they're learning their rotations, their positions. And he said last year's team came into the season already knowing them. So this is not just a new team with new players, but they're really having to kind of learn how it all works from almost the very beginning, from scratch. So, but they're getting there. They're getting better and better. So let's see. Before we get into the basketball, though, which we will talk about a little bit, we got to talk about football, this being Auburn. And, of course, I can't ever find. Oh, there it is. Of course, when we talk about the portal and NIL,
there will come a payday. Hallelujah, what a payday. There will come a payday someday. Someday there will come a payday. Hallelujah, what a payday. There will come a payday someday.
Woo-hoo. So we got even more players. We're up to like 37 or 38 now. We've totally replaced all the numbers that left, and we're just into like, hey, that guy might be interesting. Why not? We're kind of into that portion of the program now, right? Which is let's take a flyer on that tight end, or that. Why not have an 11th running back in the running back room? I mean, that's kind of what we're doing now, isn't it?
It is. It's definitely depth piece time. I think there's probably a couple of players out there that we'd still really like to have, but most of the big name guys have all signed and enrolled to move forward. So we're kind of looking around at depth and potential pieces, and we'll talk about that. So here are the players that Auburn has signed out of the transfer portal since the last time we did a podcast. Kenneth McManus is an offensive lineman who's a freshman from Appalachian State. Derek Plaz is an offensive lineman who's a redshirt freshman from Miami. And you said on this podcast a week ago, I could use one of those Miami offensive linemen.
Yeah.
Tay Meadows is the main running back for Troy. He's a junior. That's another good running back in the running back room. Michael Matthews Canty is a solid linebacker from Old Dominion. Hunter Herring is a quarterback from Louisiana Monroe who's going to play tight end for Auburn.
We had a quarterback from Cal that played receiver for us, so it's not unprecedented.
A big athletic guy who's not, going to play quarterback in the future, wants to play another position. And then Artis Boardingham will play as tight end. He's a redshirt junior from Bowling Green, which has recently produced some really good tight ends.
Isn't it amazing talking about that Troy running back? We now go into this season with last year's leading rushers from Troy, Auburn, Baylor, South Florida, and one other. I can't remember. We got not Washington. We got one other running back. That was his name. But we have all these, maybe that was it. But we have all these starting running backs. And then we have our own like backup guys.
Yes.
The two that there's one that played some last year and one that Alvin Henderson didn't play. I still can't believe Alvin Henderson's still on the team. I'm glad he is, but I just can't believe it. So, I mean, but he's in a good position because he's probably making a decent amount of money to kind of just not get wear and tear and know he's the sort of the back of the future, So he'll have his chance will come.
And Mabson is the other guy you're talking about. He definitely showed some flashes last year. But it really, I think the running back thing, we talked about a little last week, and I've thought about it a lot since then. And since we added this other Troy running back, the offense we're going to use goes faster and runs more plays and runs the running backs more. So we're talking about more carries in a game at a faster pace than Auburn ran last year. And at the end of last year, we didn't have anybody. We were playing a walk-on in the Alabama game. I don't ever want to do that again. If we'd have had another good running back, we might have won that game. So this is stockpiling to prevent that, but also to make sure that we that with the pace of the offense and the number of carries it's going to take in some games, that we're not putting ourselves in a position where we can't handle it. So it's also, I think, going to create a lot of competition. I mean, if somebody's banged up also, we're going to be fine. We're going to be able to keep moving and run the offense. It's not a situation where, if Cobb goes down, then we're in big trouble. So I feel really good about what they did in the running back room. And I think it's, again, the volume of carries that South Florida and that offense runs sometimes, we're going to need it. I just want to point out, like they had a game last year with 62 rushes, 62 carries basically. So that's a lot to divide up among players. 57, 49. So like when you talk about, 50 carries, that's a lot in a game. And the quarterback's carrying the ball some, but that's, you're talking about a bunch of other guys getting 10 or 15 carries.
With that many, with 9 SEC games, I don't want Byron Brown carrying it as much as he did last year.
Dang.
I want him carrying it on 3rd and 3 or something, maybe.
That's it.
Or 4th and 1. I don't want Byron Brown carrying it on 1st and 10 at his own 30-yard line. That should not have to happen.
Yeah. We can't, I mean, we got to keep him healthy through the SEC season. Yeah. He can't carry it 20 times a game every game. We need to lessen the load on him and put more on these running backs.
And there's an argument to be made that the weakest position we have right now is backup quarterback. Because without Deuce and without Ashton Daniels, I mean, we've got a freshman coming in, and we've got the Tia guy, but I mean, from where is he from?
Oregon State, and we got the guy that the backed up Brown last year.
Okay, yeah. So neither one of them, I think, is setting the world on fire compared to having like a good, a 5-star guy back there like we did. So, of course, we still don't even know if Deuce Knight's going to start next year, even at Ole Miss, because it hasn't been decided yet what's going to happen with Trinidad Chambliss. That's still being litigated.
So let me know. He may get over there and have to sit on the bench for the year.
Yeah, Ole Miss is suing the NCAA for Deuce to have somebody in front of him at the quarterback position, which he could have had here if he'd stayed. So,
the other thing, I in terms of the guys some of the guys we signed and that I announced today, people are probably like, I'm not excited about that, right? But the other thing that's changed is there used to be kind of a hard 85 scholarship limit, and now the number of players on the football roster is limited. It's over 100. So you can have some guys that are like depth pieces, developmental guys. Let's sign this guy, and see what happens. Like take these linemen, sign them, and let them sit for a couple of years and see if we need them, they could be an emergency piece. And I think it's like that with the tight ends, right? This offense, they love to rotate guys in and play a bunch of tight ends and stuff, and we don't want to be in a situation where we're low on guys. So
absolutely. So we are looking at depth. Again, the running back thing just blows my mind that we have so many. I mean, who do you think will get carries this season, even knowing that, like you said, that we're going to carry the ball more? Who do you think is going to get carries and who's still not going to see the field next year? Are they all going to play?
Well, I mean, Cobb, Washington, the running back from Baylor, this running back from Troy, and Davenport are going to play. Those 4 guys are going to play. And the other thing is that there's some style differences in there too. Right?
Yes, that's true. Yes.
I mean, I think they have a little, like Davenport's a bigger guy. I think the Washington from Baylor is a little more straight ahead, blow through the hole, go take off down the field kind of guy. And Cobb showed some of that, but he also could get some tough yards. So I think we got – and early on he was a good receiver too. So I think we have some variety of guys in there, and I think that's a good thing.
So is Alvin Henderson going to sit on the bench again? And what about Mapson?
I mean,
is he going to get demoted out of the playing rotation?
Probably. I mean, we'll see in the fall how it works out, but if they're good enough, they'll rise up and take that playing time away from these guys. But there's a lot of talented guys ahead of them right now.
I mean, this isn't a committee. This is the freaking Politburo.
Yes.
We got, we have our coach, and then we have his Politburo under him. That's amazing.
The other part of this, though, is like Auburn had Cobb, who had like 175 carries, and nobody else had more than like 30. Okay, so it was like all him. Yeah. And South Florida Brown had the most carries, but after that, it was like Davenport had 98, another guy had 80, another guy had 73, and the next guy had 32. So it was more spread. And I think we're going to see more of that. We're going to see more guys around, 100 carries and fewer guys with like 200 carries. So.
Yeah, and that's fine. If they can figure out how to work it that way and it works okay, that's okay with me. I just Darrell Robinson, who we had been so excited to see play, and he played in like 1 or 2 games and then got hurt again, bless his heart. He didn't get taken by anybody for a while, but you have a note here that he did finally get claimed by somebody. So I'm glad to hear that.
Colorado State. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Okay, that's decent Division I team. So
I mean, he flashed a little bit at Auburn. They had that terrible injury, so I hope he's healthy and could go out there and be productive.
Yeah,
good for him.
I was concerned that he wasn't going to get picked up by anybody, and I'm like, oh boy, where's he going to? Is he going to come back to Auburn? And they were like, no, we don't want you. The last thing we need now, I think, is any more running backs coming in thinking that they need to be getting playing time, because I think we're good. We're good, fellas. We're good. So, all right, tell the folks what's going to happen with jerseys this year. That's very, very concerning to me.
So the NCAA authorized advertising on college football jerseys next season.
No! That's what I said. And also
blasphemy.
And
we do not want it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's something I've worried about for decades, that we would turn into the English Premier League and have like Pirelli across the front and then like the number, or Chevrolet, or Hewlett Packard, HP printers, Budweiser. There's some brands that would be cooler than others to have, but I just don't. It looks to me, that's like the worst looking thing about European soccer jerseys. I love European soccer jerseys. I got a whole rack of them over there, but I don't like the dumb big ads on them. And I hope that's, or rather than like the one big ad, that they end up looking like NASCARs with just lots of little patches all over them. That's even worse.
Ding, ding, ding.
That's even worse in some ways. Because we'd have like, what is it? The Kaneka sausage. Oh, geez, please. Charles Barkley's vodka. That'd be kind of cool, and then Yellowwood would be all over it.
Treated lumber.
If we could get the big apple, that would be awesome. Now that's the one thing. All right. Because like if Oregon gets to show off their Nike swoosh on everything, and we have to too, because we have their clothes, we should be able to have that big Apple logo on there. That would be, I would not actually be, I don't want any, but if I had to have advertising on our jerseys, the Apple, just a nice little, like a white Apple logo somewhere, like the neck or under the AU or on the shoulder or something, I could, I wouldn't run screaming to the hills just for that. What do you think? What do you think is going to happen?
I'm scared it's going to be the NASCAR scenario.
Yeah.
That we're going to have 2 or 3 patches. It's going to be, we have to do it because we're raising money to pay for NIL.
That's the excuse for everything. I hadn't thought about it until the last few months. But one of the what's the metaphor I'm looking for? Not rabbit holes we've gone down, but one of the rabbits that's come out of the hat now. There's a better metaphor, but you know what I mean. One of the things that's come out of this is that, I mean, a lot of things have come out of NIL, right? A lot of changes, but one of them is that you can start doing all these things we've never done before and say, well, we have to be competitive. And isn't that what matters most, is being competitive, John? And so if we have to be competitive, and that's, who's going to object to us being more competitive? And so if what we have to do to be more are you getting tired of me saying competitive is we have to raise that NIL money, and we're going to do that not only by playing Baylor in Atlanta, we're also going to do it by putting these patches all over the jerseys. But that's okay, because it'll help us be more. So it's like a universal excuse right now for anything we're putting a big advertisement on the field for Yellowwood, but it's so we'll have more NIL money and be competitive, right? Oh, we're going to play our opening home game in the dome in Atlanta, but that's just for NIL, so we'd be more. It's just everything. Everything has an excuse now. It's a one-size-fits-all excuse for everything they want to do, and it really annoys me.
I think that's a very reasonable take, man.
I remain grateful that we built our nice new football complex right before NIL, because you and I both know it would have never gotten built.
No chance.
If NIL had come before. Yeah. I mean, because now we have a nice facility, we would still be using the basement of the Coliseum and the old football complex. So, well, yeah, that's not good. Let's turn our attention to some really good stuff, though. I just look, every time I look back at last Saturday, get excited. I just want to scream, because Auburn first went into Ole Miss. What am I forgetting?
No, I was going to say, we got to talk about Ole Miss before we talk about Florida.
Ole Miss first, right? Went into Ole Miss on, I guess, Tuesday or Wednesday. I don't even remember now.
Tuesday.
Everything's falling apart here. And beat like on a 3-game winning streak in the SEC, on a hot streak, and beat them on the road 78-66. And I tell you, Auburn dominated that game. It was never really in doubt. Auburn came out and just kind of put our big foot down on them at the beginning and led them by about 6 to 10 points the entire way, ended up winning by 12. The defense played really well, though we hadn't seen nothing yet. And then a lot of rebounding, which was really good. And then we got to talk about Pettiford at the end, which was pretty funny too. So what were your thoughts initially on the Ole Miss game? We'll get started, don't worry.
We did. I mean, they're good, as you said, a good team. They've beaten some of the teams that we played that beat us, and they were at home. So this was a road win in the SEC for us, which was big, right? And you're right. We went in there, kind of controlled the game from the beginning. And when you hold an SEC team to 66 points in their building, that's pretty good. That's impressive in defense.
Yeah.
Keyshawn Murphy loves playing Ole Miss. He spent a lot of time at Mississippi State. He hates these guys, and he gets up for this game, and he was excellent. He was so good in this game, offensively, defensively, rebounding. He made things happen. 16 points, 14 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block, 1 steal.
Not bad.
Nope.
Well, we got so spoiled by our 2 big men last year that it's weird to just have the one, but he's playing better now.
He is. I think a lot of that is just health. He was banged up the early middle part of the season, and he's coming back to full health now. And you can tell he can't play, like 35 minutes in a game, whatever, but he can give you really effective 20 minutes, 22 minutes, 25 minutes. So.
Right. Absolutely. Well, they were saying that part of it too with him was you just get kind of gun shy because you've been injured and he's afraid people are going to come down on his foot or whatever, his knee and something. And you kind of have to work your way through that. We've seen that with other players over the last few years. I remember it very vividly, that there have been several players that were very tentative coming back from a bad injury because they just didn't want to get hurt again. And,
yes,
It's understandable. But that rebounding and then getting a win over Beard. Where did he take a team to the Final Four? Because it wasn't Ole Miss. He took somebody else to the Final Four. Because he's one of the 5.
Yes, it was. I want to say it was Texas Tech.
Yeah,
maybe Texas, and he was fired from there.
What was he? You know what? He might have been the Texas Tech head coach when we would have played him in the national championship game, right? If we had beaten Virginia, if we hadn't gotten it stolen from us, we'd have played that Texas Tech. I think that's the Texas Tech team we would have played in the national championship. I'm not sure if he was the coach that year or not, though, but seems possible. Seems probable. But anyway, yeah, I guess we've got that in our show notes. We'll talk about it at some point we do. Okay. All right. So that's Ole Miss. Anything else about the Ole Miss game? Pettiford.
Just the Ole Miss student section was giving Pettiford crud the whole game and really giving him a hard time. And so at the end of the game, he had a chance to maybe slow it down and milk some clock. And instead he blew by the guy and just absolutely dunked it and, tore the building down. And then looked at the Ole Miss student section and did the kind of the crying.
At first he stuck out his tongue at him.
Yes.
And then he did the crying thing. And then he did the little heart thing. So he kind of went through three different. He walked them through 3 of the 5 stages of grief for losing the game to us, which I thought was pretty good. Oh, good old Tahad. I love it. When he's good, he's good. All right, we got to go down to Gainesville now. So 76-67, another double-digit plus win. And the first time since February 10, 1996. John, if I had asked you this without putting it in our show notes, would you have known who Auburn's leading scorer in that game was 30 years ago, February?
No chance.
It was Lance Weems. I remember Lance Weems like it was 2 years ago, but I didn't remember he was our leading scorer at any point that season. So I think that must have been one of the early Cliff Ellis teams. Yeah. Tommy Joe was there through around 93, 94-ish. Mm-hmm. And then around 95, we switched over to Cliff Ellis, I guess, somewhere in there, right? So, and so first time in 30 years, almost to the month. Where do you rate this in terms of big wins, big road wins, whatever, however you want to rate it?
I mean, I think because it was so unexpected, because this team had been so up and down that none of us, even us Auburn basketball fans, didn't think they were going to go in there and win this team was going to win this game against that Florida team, right? They returned a bunch. They had lost some games, but they were still really good. They were a top 10 team. And so it didn't seem possible to go in there and win. This team has had some big road wins in the last 10 years. We won at Alabama, what was number 1 versus number 2 a year ago, right? Mm-hmm. We won some other big games. We won at Tennessee. I always think about, to me, the pinnacle of underdog Auburn team winning on the road is the John Kaler team winning at Rupp. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And breaking the streak there.
Hitting that 3-pointer at the buzzer to beat Kentucky, yeah. Unlikely good old boy from Tennessee or wherever Kaler was from, yeah.
But also a team that fans, that had a bunch of injuries, and so fans didn't expect them to win, and we had a big, long losing streak to Kentucky going into that game in games up there.
That's right. That's true, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's hard. I mean, it's funny. The one thing I said last week, I don't remember if I said it to you on the air or what, but I was saying last week, I remember saying this, that our Final Four team didn't go to Gainesville, but lost to Florida twice. Mm-hmm. We lost in Auburn and then in the Final Four. So we went 0 and one of our if not our greatest Auburn team ever, went 0-2 against Florida last year. And this is very much the same team, a lot of the same players, same coach, everything. The team 2 years ago was really good, Auburn, and went down and lost in Gainesville. And I remember saying something like, it's going to be one of those things where the team that finally wins down there is not going to be one you'd expect, right? It's going to be a fluky thing where and that's this wasn't a fluky thing in the sense that they earned it.
No.
But it's not the team. If I laid out 10 Auburn teams for you and said, which one of these goes and wins in Gainesville when all the others lose, I don't think you'd have picked this one.
No. Heck no.
So it was amazing.
I mean, we just lost at freaking Missouri, right? You saw that. That team's turned around.
Well, I was going to say, that's been the worst game we've played in the SEC. And of course, that's the one I was at. I drove 5 hours each.
Maybe it's you.
It's been said before, John. It's been said before. But no, I mean, think about it. We've lost 3 games, but throw out that stinker against Missouri. We lost to Georgia on the road in overtime, and we lost on a controversial, to say the least, call against the one-loss SEC leading Texas A&M Aggies.
Yeah.
Other than that Missouri loss is the only bad loss we've had so far, home or away.
That's right. And
we've beaten a good Arkansas team, a good Florida team,
good
Ole Miss team. Yeah. I'm telling you right now, they better not let up and lose to Texas, because this is a very winnable game on Wednesday, and we need another W. We don't need to turn around and lose because it doesn't get much easier. We're in the middle of a tough run here. This is the easy game for a while coming up, Texas.
Yeah, no, the Auburn schedule had kind of some easier games at the beginning and then a really tough middle and then a lighter end of the SEC schedule. We're in the tough middle part. So
yeah. Well, so I didn't mention the South Carolina. That was the rock fight that we just had to out tough them. I mean, yeah, so we've got Texas, but then I think we go to Tennessee.
It's at Tennessee, home Alabama, home Vanderbilt, at Arkansas.
That's a buzzsaw right there. All right, out of those 4, what do you think our record's going to be? At Tennessee, at Alabama.
No, at Tennessee, Alabama, and Vanderbilt, in Neville, and then at Arkansas. I think we're going to go 2-2 in that stretch.
I will take that all day long. I will take 2-2 to the bank. You want to tell me that we can hold serve at home, or at least have the same record as if we do, going up against those 4 teams? I'll take that to the bank every day. Absolutely. Because I think we're more likely to go 1-3 in that stretch. But then again, we just did what we did to Florida, so
that's right.
All bets are off.
And so let's go back to the Florida game.
Yeah.
I think this was one of the best, if not the best, defensive performances I've seen by an Auburn basketball team in my lifetime.
Absolutely.
Florida is one of the better offensive teams in the country, and they were the single best rebounding team in the country going in, and we went in there and out-rebounded them on their home court in a big way. And Auburn played defense in a way and with an intensity and a consistency that I honestly didn't think they could do. I didn't think this Auburn team could do that. And it was really smart. They had a great game plan defensively.
They did. Yes.
They talked about this in the broadcast, and it's really true. That Florida team is a lot like this Auburn team. They're not a good three-point shooting team. They've lost those 2 guards last year that were so great. Clayton is gone, and they've got that one Eastern European guy who's a pretty good shooter, but nobody else. And so basically everybody else, we dared them to shoot 3-pointers, and we really clamped down on the big guys inside, and they couldn't do anything with that.
I want to say Stephen has tried something similar to this defensive game plan a couple of times this season, And it wasn't his fault that it didn't work. Okay. What we did in this game was give them the 3-pointer, pull the defense in tighter toward the hoop more than we usually do, right? Mm-hmm. We usually play right out across the 3-point line, in your face. We dared them to take the 3-point shot. And anytime the ball went down in the paint, we collapsed everybody almost down on that guy and did a bunch of this.
Mm-hmm.
We did the chicken fight and slap fight every time Florida went down the post. And a good chunk of the time, we got a turnover or a jump ball. We got a bunch of these out of it. A bunch.
Or a guy couldn't get a good shot off and they missed, and we rebounded.
And missed, and we got the rebound. Now, Stephen has tried that similar to that in other games, and what keeps happening is they go on a lucky streak and make their 3-pointers. And what was different in this game was that Florida shot the 3-pointers the way we hoped they would, rather than better than they had been. They shot according to form rather than having an aberrationally good 3-pointing shooting game as we were kind of scheming them into, right? So that was a big part of it, is that things actually went according to plan for once, rather than having a great plan and the other team just kind of lucks their way out of it. You know?
And even with the plan, I wasn't sure that our front court players could match up with Florida's front court players and come out ahead, limiting them by playing good defense. But they did. Keyshawn Murphy, Jovic, Sebastian Williams, Adams. Keyshawn Hall played his best defensive game of the season. He has, he's been a great offensive player, but he has not been great on defense. He was really good on defense. He was good. Every single player on Auburn's team blocked out and rebounded well, didn't let Florida get the ball. And then the other side of this was that Keyshawn Hall came out on fire offensively and really took control of the game and got Auburn a lead, which then allowed the defense to hold it the rest of the way.
Yes. And you were just talking about how good of an offensive team Florida is. How many points did they have in the first half? The first half.
It was like 22 or something, was it?
28.
28.
We held one of the best offensive teams in the country to 28 points. And I mean, and in their much better second half, they only had 39, which was not as many as we had in the first half.
That's right.
Unbelievable. Oh, and I've been wanting to do this. You mentioned their Eastern European 3-point shooting guy. What's his name? I've got his name, but I mean, yeah. Oh, I got it. It is Urban Klavzar. And when the game was on and Urban Klavzar was out there, I'm like, you got to be kidding! They got a name. I kept hearing RKO Pictures presents an Urban Klavzar production of a David Selznick film. It just sounds like some guy that would be producing Gone with the Wind in 1925, in Hollywood or something. So, coming on the red carpet now, Urban Klavzar to receive his Academy Award. All right, I'm sorry.
It's all good. Here's another one. Here's another reason that Auburn won that game. Auburn went 19 for 21 shooting free throws in this game.
My legs were getting sore from I always do the, and I did it all the way through the Missouri game. I had people around me like, and I'm just like, don't care. This is what we do, My legs were getting sore from all the free throws we were making, but it's the price of doing business, John. It's the price of doing business.
All right. So how did you, Van Plexico, feel when Florida tied it up late in the second half?
Well, there were 2 or 3 moments where Florida came back, and the first time they pulled it within like 5, right? And then in the second half, they actually tied it up. And for a minute, it looked like they took the lead, and then there was the goaltending that they waved off.
Another great coaching decision by Stephen Pearl to challenge that and get it waved off.
And one of the few times that we challenge something or appeal something, there's two different things there, and it worked because earlier in the game, their center dude had just elbowed Murph in the jaw. I'm surprised it didn't break his freaking jaw. I bet he was sore on Sunday. And they were like, no foul. It's all good. I'm just like, you got to be kidding. I mean, he took his elbow and went blam and put Murph on the floor. And they're like, no, nothing to see there. Nothing to see there. So, but no, when they pulled it in, I was starting to feel a little sick. I'm like, because you felt it coming, right? They started chipping away. And remember, the same thing happened in the Final Four game last year. It still drives me crazy that we led Florida in the second half in the Final Four. And then we went into that shooting bad three-pointers thing that we did. We still do it some. And had too many empty possessions. And we started doing that in this game. And I'm like, guys, just take it inside. I don't care. This team, because here's another important distinction. This Auburn team draws fouls way better than last year's did.
Much better.
I don't understand it. It defies logic and reason. Last year's team was a bunch of seniors that knew what they were doing and should have gotten the benefit of the doubt, and they didn't. They never did.
No, I think last year's team, especially Broome and Cardwell, were so big, they did not get the offensive calls when they were shooting for fouls. They got hacked all the time and never get it. This team is a little smaller. Somehow they are better at drawing the foul.
Yeah. And Keyshawn Hall, that's one of his – they said like 38% of his points come from the free throw line.
Yes.
It was so good at the end when we were inbounding it to Hall and Florida was having to foul. I'm like, oh, yes, please foul Keyshawn Hall. I'll take that all day. And, of course, he then – did you see? This is another one of those moments where I thought, oh, here we go. He missed the front end of a 1-and-1. As good as he shot free throws the entire game, Keyshawn Hall missed the front end of a 1-and-1 late. And I was just like, oh, my gosh, don't tell me we're going to lose this game because Hall suddenly goes on a cold streak at the line. But he didn't. He got it back together. I think even Murphy made some good free throws there. I mean, everybody was shooting free throws.
Everybody made them. It was big.
Yeah. I think Jovic missed the front of one. And then there was like one other one, and that was about it. Oh, and then Hall. The fact that I think I can remember the ones we missed specifically shows how few that we missed.
Like in other games, it's just an epidemic, and in this game, it didn't matter. We made him. That was so clutch. That was so big.
We pulled it. We stretched it back out after they caught up with us. That was the thing that amazed me was that every time Florida drew even, we just turned around and put the foot back down on the gas and stretched it back out again.
That's right. I was checking. Keyshawn Hall is tied for the national lead in free throws made at 141.
Wow. And we've needed every one of them. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, what does this mean for the team? I said last week that I don't remember exactly how I put it. Do you remember how we were talking about the NCAA tournament, and I said we were kind of on a path to like a 8 or 9 seed, right? Yeah, right. And then one of the national reporters came out this week and Joe Lunardi, ESPN's Joe Lunardi. Where did he say Auburn's going to be right now? An 8 seed. So we know what we're talking about on this show. We've been around the block a few times,
and I've seen some, since the Florida game, move it up into the 7 range. So
yeah, that would be good.
It really did. I think a lot of Auburn fans before the Ole Miss and the Florida games were kind of out on this team, down on this team, thinking about we'll be lucky to make the tournament. We can't beat anybody good. But beating Florida in their building the way we did, you really have to just stop and recalibrate what is possible.
Yes.
What can this team do? And because the reality is that was the single hardest game left on our schedule, and we just won it. It was not even close how much that was the hardest game on the schedule.
Yes. for the reasons of how good they are and historical reasons, both, and the fact it's on the road. Yeah,
that's right.
So we picked a good one to win, and I mean, if we can carry on from there and win the ones that we should win, and don't trip over ourselves too much, we could get higher than 8.
Yes.
And what we were talking about last time is the reason. I'm going to reiterate this and make sure people understand it. SEC teams historically don't get lower than an 8 or 9 seed. It seems like 10, 11 down through 16 is more reserved for the mid majors, right? Mm-hmm. So like if you win the Idaho Valley Conference or something, if you're Boise State Technical College and you win the Idaho Valley Conference or whatever, you're probably going to be like a 13. Even if you won a conference, you're going to be like a 13. 8 and 9 is where they put the lowest SEC teams usually. The problem is 8 and 9 play each other, which means you've got to play somebody very similar to you in the very first game. You don't get a cupcake. And if by some chance you win that opening game against a team that's very similar to you, you then play probably in 99,000 times out of 10,000, number 1, right? Whereas if you're number 7, the worst it can get for you is playing number 2, which might be a little better because sometimes there's a drop off from the
might
first.
Be the 8th best team or the 9th best team.
Yeah, it could be it could be the 8th or 9th best team instead of the first best team. Absolutely, it would be the difference between playing Michigan or Arizona versus playing, I don't know, who's like number 7 or 8 or 9 right now in the rankings. Who?
Houston is 7.
Yeah, when we've lost by 1 point, I'd play them again.
Yep. Gonzaga 9. Play them.
Yeah. See, so that's a big difference between them and like an Arizona or Michigan. So it's big if we can work our way up just a couple of spots in the seeds. And I mean, the fact that we're talking about what seed we're going to get now, as opposed to a week ago, we were like, do you think we can make it to the tournament, John? I don't know. Can we make it? Can we make it? So I'd hate to see that streak end.
Agree. 100%. The other thing I just want to say is like, there's been a lot of chatter with people like, I don't know about Stephen Pearl. And I think like you just stop. So he just went into Florida and beat them. He's 5-3 against coaches who have coached in the Final Four.
There you go.
And this team over the course of the season has gotten better. You can see it. The same players, he has coached them up. This team as a whole, again, we talked about the depth and how it hasn't worked out the way they planned originally, but he's taken the hand he's been dealt and made the best of it. And this team is much better than they were a month ago.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And with room to keep growing, to keep getting better.
Right. I mean, it's an insane thing to say, but one of these days, a bunch of our 3-pointers are going to go in, and then we're really going to beat somebody.
I know. To think that we beat Ole Miss and Florida and South Carolina shooting 3-pointers the way we have been the last few games. And I mean, we were shooting them pretty well earlier in the season. The weird thing about it is Auburn teams traditionally under Bruce would get cold from the 3-point line with about 4 games to go in the regular season. This year's team said, we're going to avoid the rush. We're just going to get bad at the 3-point shot like 3 games in. And I don't understand it. I really don't, but that's what they did. So I just need them to I know you got to keep firing them up and hopefully you'll break the curse or whatever, but there's so many times in games that we have these empty possessions where we get a great defensive play, get a steal, get a rebound, get a turnover, and we go down and just instantly fire up a bad 3-pointer and give it right back over again. And I just pull my hair out. I get so frustrated when we do that. I'm like, just take it inside, get the 2, and worry about the 3-pointer when you've got that shot.
But also just make the defense work a little bit, please.
Yeah. Oh, we did that under Bruce too. That's not a Steven thing. We've done that for 10 years now. We've done that the whole or more where we just chuck it. That's like one of the number one things I've complained about for a decade now is when we get into that, let's just go down there and chuck it up mindset. I just like the buzzer's about to go off, and they just run down there and chuck it up. So very rarely do those go in.
No.
Only one player could consistently hit that, and we all know who it was. And he was shooting from way downtown, as they say. So number 8 seed, maybe chance to go up. Wednesday night, January 28th, Texas at home in Neville, 7 Eastern, 6 Central. So it's one of those games where we'll get to go to bed at a decent hour. It's not one of those we'll be up until midnight. That's good. Here's my complaint about basketball and ESPN. They know that games last longer than 2 hours, and yet you never get to see. I can't remember the last time. Well, I guess Missouri, when I was actually there, was the last time I got to see the first 5 minutes of an Auburn basketball game. Because I'll record it and come home to watch it after dinner or something. And I'm like, I've got Kansas and Tulane or something for 20 minutes, and I missed the first 5 minutes. Now, for this one, I did go into the ESPN app to try to see the beginning of the game. But then ESPN's app is like, you must re-log in and find all your credentials and give us a blood sample and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, oh, gosh, ESPN, why? So it took me so long to get it all, in there that I missed the first 5 minutes. Dang game. So, tired of that, ESPN. Take it into account when you schedule. And then we go to Tennessee.
They're not going to do that.
No.
Yeah, so Saturday at Tennessee, opposite 8:30 Eastern on ESPN.
Yeah, so a little later, especially for you. At least it's on a Saturday and not a Tuesday or Wednesday night, though, so that'll help.
Amen.
Yeah. And they are the team that just put the smack down on that NBA team from across the state, right?
That team playing ineligible players we'll talk about.
Yes. So, all right, let's pause and thank our patrons for just a second. We, the AU Wishbone, I don't know if you realize this, folks, but the AU Wishbone podcast is presented to you ad-free. Now, I need to pause that for just a second because I did a little research and found this out. You may have noticed that this is one of the few shows on YouTube that never stops and begs you to subscribe and hit the little like button and the bell and all that stuff. We don't ever do that, really. But I found out that when you get 1,000 subscribers, YouTube actually pays you for all your work. And I'm like, they do? Oh. So we've just been doing all this basically free and for the support of our patrons. But that would be cool if we could get to 1,000 subscribers. So I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'm just going to say it'd be cool if we could get to 1,000 because then we might actually get paid for this on here. So we were at close to 700. So I think we need about 300 more subscribers. So let's see what happens in the next few weeks in terms of getting us there. Other than that, though, the AU Wishbone podcast is presented to you ad-free thanks to all of our great patrons via patreon.com. Visit www.auwishbone.com, auwishbone.com, where you can find a lot of cool stuff that just lives on there for free. You can just go on there and play some of our old shows, some of our greatest hits are on there. The We Believe series, the link to the books, all that stuff is on there. Click on the big orange button to become a patron. And John and I are also talking about in the off season. So I guess coming up in the next couple of months, we're going to do. You and I have done we've done a couple of these just for fun, where we did the play-by-play of a classic Auburn game, where we found like a 45-minute highlight video and we just watched it together on YouTube and did the play-by-play. And we've talked about maybe turning that into like a sub-series, kind of like we did with We Believe, called like the Auburn Rewatchables, where we'll treat it like it's a classic movie and just watch them and do commentary as we go along, including what they call half-assed internet research and greatest play and most awesome moment and all that kind of stuff. So bear that in mind. We might have something like that coming up over the course of the year when we have some, we get into the dull weeks of the late spring into the summer and everything. We'll try to do that again. I think so far we've done the 94 Florida game and the 86. 80. It was Bo. 85 Florida State. 85 Florida State. 85 Florida State because it was the one in Auburn. Yeah. All right. So here, but click on the big orange button at auwishbone.com. Here are the fine folks keeping the program ad-free. They include our title sponsor for worst coaches in the world coming up in just a moment. And that would be the great Samuel Salvatore. Also, we have to thank Logan Chilton, who always reminds us, what do we sacrifice to be Auburn fans?
What do I sacrifice? Everything.
It's so true. It's so true. Ben Spooner, for whom losing to Florida would have been
blasphemy.
Amen. Carl Von Drunker, Chris and Clinton Stewart. My Auburn football hope meter is going up again. Well, I think me too. I agree. Earl Ricks, Phil Amthor, now giving Vanna John a break from the sound clip. Since the dismal years are over, I hope. I feel good about that. You know what? I'm going to say this, John, and you tell me if I'm totally off base. Alex Golesh is the first head coach, and I know we haven't seen him coach a game yet. He could be a flop like the others. We'll see. But just in terms of his age and his style of coaching and everything, he is the first Auburn coach I can remember in a long time that I could see going to the NFL. I didn't ever see Hugh Freeze going to coach in the NFL. I didn't ever see Potato going to the NFL. I don't think I ever saw Gus going to the NFL. You know what I mean? Or Chiswick. I don't mean because he's great, because we don't really know what he's going to do at Auburn yet. I just mean in terms of style and age and energy and everything. He reminds me more of today's NFL coaches than anybody we've had in a long time. Does that make sense?
It does.
I mean, I know people are going to jump on here and say, you got him going to the NFL and they ain't even won a game yet. I don't mean in terms of wins. I mean the way he seems, the way he comes across, the way he presents himself. He seems like one of these current crop of NFL coaches. That's all I mean.
No, I think that's
all I want is for him to win at Auburn, though. Richard Stevens, Steve Trawick, Ann Pridgeon, Shane Bailey, Susan Trawick, Willie Carden, Matt Flowers, Wynn from Norman, Oklahoma, Gary Grant, a.k.a. AU fan at KSC, William Morgan, Bradley Blackman, Eric Morgan, Michael Kirshner. If Carol Shelby could see those Florida fans, he would say,
I don't speak Italian, but he ain't happy.
That's a dang truth. We didn't mention that at the end of the Florida game, Murph got a loose ball and went down and dunked it right before the buzzer. And Steven looked really embarrassed, but I understood. He kind of looked over at Golden because they're really tight, right? They're like brothers. He looked over at Golden, was kind of like, doing the whole bashful, oh, I'm so embarrassed thing. But I was like, yeah, dunk on the Gators, Murph. Dunk on them Gators, Murph. I was there for it. Do it again. And then go over and hand him the ball, man. Oh, I was loving that. I totally understood Steven's reaction, but because he's the coach, he has to be embarrassed by it. But, man, I was not apologizing for it. All right. David W.D. Salmons, Esquire, Harry Zagger, G Money, Rich Reimer, Steve Harlan, Wes Atkinson, Dan Thompson, a few more patrons, then back to the authorities. Catherine England, my nose real stopped up tonight. I sound terrible. No one fights like Gaston, War Eagle always, Jacob and Robin Fleming, Mickey B, Winston Body, washed up fantasy F1 team principal. Oh, that reminds me of another topic. They are testing the new cars at Barcelona this week. There was testing today, Monday. And so the new cars, except for Williams, because Williams, are out on the track testing and Cadillac was out there. I don't think they've driven yet, but they're there and they're ready to go. They may have gone today. I know that Mercedes was the first out. So there's already talk of, what's that hole in the nose? What are they doing with that? How'd they change the sideboards? What's that for? So we get this every year, but especially this year. So it's going to be really fun in March. Let me just put it this way. If you've been hearing about Formula One, but you've never jumped on yet, talk about a great jumping on time. March is the time because it's going to be almost a whole new sport. You're going to have a brand new American team Cadillac with 2 really cool drivers that are very beloved that are going to be driving for Cadillac for America, for GM. And all the cars are going to be completely different. Everybody's back to square one. They've completely redesigned the engines, the cars, everything. So this is going to be almost a brand new sport starting in March. I cannot wait. And so it's going to be very exciting because just for the first time in a decade, you have no idea who's going to win races. And that's so cool. Because in the past, you knew exactly who was going to win, right? It's going to be Max, or it's going to be Lando, or it's going to be, Lewis for so long. Well, you don't have any idea. It could be Fernando Alonso again, which I'm very excited about. So we'll see. Brandon Smith, Daniel Odom, 2008-09 Taliban Wrangler World Champion, H-Town Danny, WD Richie, Chris Hilton, Ben Bloodworth, Bob WD Salmons, Auburn University debate team, 74-75 and current Sleazy Shyster, Algo Rhythm and Blues, Rusty Owens, goodbye you. Hello, happiness. Luther and Kelly Ottaway, what do you call a wandering caveman? A Neanderthal. Oh, we continue to deliver you the finest in dad jokes on this program.
Ooh.
Finest.
Do we?
Well, yes.
Do yourself no injury.
You might. Todd Robinson, a.k.a. undisputed 2012 doubles badminton intramural champion. Woody the Jag, the official 2024 Bowl Mania champion. Chad McDowell, Auburn football's Elvis, Wade Ward, Reynolds Wolf, Philip Martin, Jeff Hunter, David G.A. Great day, comrades, because
we sail into history.
That's right. Timothy, Russell Milling, Randall Walker, David Simpson, Josh Teal, Tony Perry, Rob Morgan. I need to go back and rewatch the Red Storm, Hunt for Red October. How have they never done a Red Storm Rising movie, John? Aren't you surprised? Yeah.
Well, it's a giant spectacle World War III movie. It's not.
Yeah.
It's like Queer and
It's not Irish.
It's yeah.
It's not Irish terrorists attack his house. Yeah. Okay, but I'm still surprised. By the way, I did notice for our listeners that are into such things on February 26th and March 1st, the 10th anniversary of The Revenant with Leonardo DiCaprio is going to be in IMAX, re-released in theaters, and I'm going to go. I'm really excited to. I saw it in the theater the first time 10 years ago. It's one of my top 10 favorite movies. Have you ever seen it?
Yes, several times.
Okay, it's a wonderful, wonderful.
It's a true story about a man and a bear, and they fall in love with each other in the country.
They do hug a lot. That is fair. They do tumble around the floor of the forest quite a bit, but yeah. It is a great movie and a great revenge story, right? It's a great revenge story, and that's really at its heart. And it's also that it frees you to death. It was like July when I saw it in the theater, and I was in the theater like, because it's just snow. The entire movie is just snow. It's like the frozen Montana, landscape. So, but it's going to be an IMAX, and I've never seen an IMAX, so I'm excited. Tony Perry, Rob Morgan, Patrick Williams says the AU Wishbone will.
Whether you like it or not, learn to love it because it's the best thing going today. Woo!
Shannon Butson, Construction Tiger, Papa Todd, Cato, the SEC Pick'em champion, Stephen Houston, Kevin Mahan, Blake Heron, Sarah Hines, Sasquatch, 7-time North America hide and seek champ, thinks he can play punter for the Tigers. Tell comrade coach. That would be cool to see Sasquatch out there playing punter. Tim Pittman, co-host of the program, Boris the Tiger. Charles Mooney, I was unfamiliar with Hawaii until I got the lay of the land. Oh, God, Lord. Yeah, he's throwing stuff at me through the screen. David D., Auburn Blue, Dr. Crackham, Bill Weathers, Eternal Glory. Walt is ready to see us do a Russian Oh, a lot of rushing the football this fall. Oh, okay. I think he meant to say lot. He had to kind of abbreviate it. Walt's ready to see us do a lot of rushing the football this year. I butchered that, Walt. Totally my fault. That was good. I enjoyed that. It threw me. Sorry. Antoine Morris. I really owe Walt an apology for screwing this lineup. Antoine Morris, ABB, Wiggeber, the 2005 Auburn University Intramural Horseshoes champion. Tyler Ward, Mark Squire. Cue the anthem, boys. You know who is number one. Auburn, number one. Okay. I was going for but the Howard Dean button's gotten a lot of work tonight. Alex Wynn, Kenneth Brent Raines, the barbecue.
You have failed me for the last time.
AKA Auburn Dad for life. John Stubbs, Clay Henson, Justin Bean, James Taylor, and finally, Ruth and Darren Sutherland, Stephen Thompson, Ben Amos, Spanky. Auburn wins in Gainesville. Americans. Oh, yeah. Okay, Spanky's got a lot going on here, so let me recalibrate myself. All right, Auburn wins in Gainesville, so.
My fellow Americans, our long national nightmare is over.
Amen. And why?
God bless it.
There you go. That's right. So we told them a long time ago.
All will be settled.
And it was. So all I want to hear from Florida now is there you go. Okay. Had that whole little blue section of the soundboard that comes in really handy. And just, after the game, Stephen Pearl could just walk around like,
and I am the King of England.
You darn right you are, sir. Because you went into Gainesville and you said,
Assemble the army!
Yes. Oh, I can just keep hitting blue buttons all night, John. This is great. But I won't, because Chris Como, Darren Pyle, Theodore Gary, David Smiley, Trevor Johnson, Royce Alvarez, college equestrian expert Auburn Elvis, you falling up, John Atsuki, Paul Banks, and MVP captivating Kathy Bryce.
You don't have any friends. Nobody likes you.
Ben Regas, Bobby Polita, Elizabeth Donald, I'll buy this for $1, Rich Hammett, Chris Braun, Alex Brown, Siberian Tiger, the Slinko family, Daniel Witten, Tim Sauls, Jim McCrory. I will lick the toes of you. I will not lick the toes of you. I do not like the toes of woe. I am Tiger. I'm not a hoe. New York Tiger heard it is against the law to laugh too loud in Hawaii, so you have to keep it to aloha. We had 2 Hawaii jokes tonight. That's like a record. Wow. Oh, boy, that's quite a record. Those were volcanic.
No, stop while you're ahead.
I don't think I was ever ahead. CT Tiger, Jim Myers, Trey Jackson, Howard Franz, Peter Wang, Willie Moe, Zach Doran, Chris, and our one-time anonymous donors. And I'll give a shout-out to our free audience members as well that are members on there. And we hope that one day you will make the transition over to being a supporting patron and keep us ad-free. Go to www.auwishbone.com. Coming up, we have listener questions and around the SEC and the country. But first, it's time for our semi-weekly look at all the miscreants, knuckleheads, and ne'er-do-wells who collectively constitute this week's worst coaches in the world. Brought to you by title sponsor Samuel Salvatore. And Samuel this week tells us his worst coach in the world is Nate Oates. Perhaps you've heard of him. Nate Oates of the Alabama Cringing Toads. The Alabama team isn't great, so he uses a tactic to bring back a 3-year NBA player back to college to try and help his exposed defense. And they got exposed at Tennessee, all right. The court judge was a Bama donor, so of course that's who he's going to beg. Oates doesn't understand the day that when you live by the 3, you die by the 3. Blew a huge lead at home against the rivals from the north, that would be Tennessee, and still doesn't get it that defense wins championships. Nate Oates, you are this week's worst coach in the world.
Thank you. Order. Questions to the Prime Minister.
It's time for listener questions. Dun, 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 on the AU Wishbone podcast.
What's in the mailbag this week, John?
First question's from friend of the podcast, Jared, who says, I don't have a guess the game to send in this week, so in my joy over the 30-year Gainesville basketball curse being broken, let's take a look back at 1996. The number one movie at that moment was Independence Day.
Oh, wow.
The song was The Macarena. ER and Seinfeld were battling for the top TV show.
Good Lord.
Tom Cruise starred in the first Mission Impossible movie.
Good God.
The original PlayStation was the best-selling gaming system. Pierce Brosnan had only one Bond movie to his name.
Yes, GoldenEye.
Thought this would be fun. And 95-96 was Jared's freshman year at Auburn.
Wow. That's how long it's been. Which one of those things he mentioned just kind of knocked your feet out from under you the most? I think Independence Day being in theaters was the last time we beat Florida. That's mind-boggling to me. That seems like a long time ago.
I think that's fair.
The Macarena doesn't hurt either. Lord.
Yeah, wow. It was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. Hey, none of my kids were alive. None of my kids were alive. Put it that way.
My wife was pregnant with our first child. She's a grown adult now. So
yeah, exactly.
All right. Our next email is from Cato, the Barner, and the subject line is Ole Miss head coaches and recruiting violations. Name a more iconic duo. Hey, fellas, actually, I have two questions for Around the SEC section today. First, with the allegations against Ole Miss head coach Pete Golding tampering with Clemson players, we'll soon see Pete tweet out, if you have facts about a violation, send it to compliance@olemiss.edu. If not, please do not slander this young man or insult their family. He might say that. We've seen that before. And if you're not aware, Ole Miss tampered with some Clemson players, and Dabo kind of went off this week about that, fussing about it.
He did, and my response was, regardless of how important this issue might be, I was not going to listen to Dabo talk for 90 seconds. I have things I'd rather do in life than listen to Dabo, and that.
No, but we know it goes on, but no other coaches are like, here, I'm going to show you how ugly this is and what it looks like. And he did. Second question, more serious second question, he says, I'm not sure if you already covered this or not, but have you been following the Horatio Fields saga? Horatio transferred from Auburn to Missouri on January 7th, and according to Mizzou's official social media account, actually signed with Missouri on January 8th. However, as of Friday, Fields has not reported to campus and hasn't enrolled in school either. After announcing that Fields has signed, Missouri went out and grabbed wide receiver Caden Lee from Ole Miss, and the assumption is that Fields has chosen not to enroll. How do you see this playing out? If Missouri granted him his release, would you welcome him back with open arms, or would you tell him, too bad you wanted green and pastures, that's the risk of leaving?
That's the Wake Forest receiver, right?
Yeah, who was on Auburn last year. Yeah.
Got hurt, didn't play very much. Seemed like he's a good – they kept saying he was a good locker room guy up until he got injured. What's going on?
I don't know. I mean, maybe he thinks he's trying to go somewhere else or whatever, but as you said about the academic part a while ago, like that ship sailed. You got to be going to class now if you want to play football.
I'm not letting anybody else in my classes right now. That's
no. I mean, I hope, I have no idea what's going on with Ratio. I haven't been paying attention to this. I hope he's okay.
Yeah, we'll see.
Cato goes on to say, I know we would have welcomed back Amaris Williams last year. We did after he entered the portal and came back. Just wanted to know where y'all land on the debate between we need players, please come back, and if you don't want us, we don't want you. My general rule is I would welcome players back, but the reality is there's not space for everyone to come back at this point. So
right. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you go out of your way to tell them no if there's room and you want them back just on principle. But you got to tell them straight up, honestly, if the spot's gone, the spot's gone. You didn't have to leave and come back,
No, that's what I said. It's musical chairs and they wanted to play the game. They could have stayed safe and had a spot, but they didn't want to do that.
That's it.
So, yeah. All right. He says, thanks, Cato, the transfer tracker. Our next email is from Bill Miner, who says the subject line is Jordan-Hare Stadium in the snow. Hey, guys, being in Maryland, buried under a bit of snow and ice, watching the Broncos-Patriots game in the snow. As the authorities in Auburn football history, are you aware of any Auburn games ever having been played in the snow? I know about the Arkansas game there that had some snow, but are you aware of any at Jordan-Hare? Of course, the calendar hurts and snow doesn't happen much in Auburn, especially on the earlier side of winter. No. I do enjoy watching games in the snow on TV from the comfort of my house, but not sure I'd be thrilled going to a game in Jordan-Hare in the snow. I'd love to see it from afar, but I'd be curious what you guys would think about it. Another angle is what game would be more epic with snow? I'd imagine the first time ever in the snow would have just added even more to it.
Oh, good. I don't want to think about that.
I mean,
don't tamper with that.
I was going to say, let's be clear. Snow in Auburn on a football day, they probably have to just cancel. If it was a dusting or some flakes, whatever, fine. But if there was like serious ice and snow, they'd have to cancel the game. That's how it is.
People couldn't park. They couldn't get their cars to the
parking lot. They couldn't park, and the roads would all get blocked. And so, no, like if it was serious snow in Auburn, they'd have to cancel. If it was some snowflakes on TV or whatever, that's fine. I mean, I think we remember the Arkansas game he's talking about. It's happened a couple of times at Arkansas.
93, Terry Bowden's first year at Arkansas was the one where they had the field was just completely covered. And it was the one where Terry had to send people out to buy Auburn gear from like Hibbett's, because they didn't have enough coats and stuff.
That's it. But we're playing games now at Oklahoma, at Missouri, at Arkansas. There's going to be some late season games where we play again in the snow. So it's going to happen in the next few years. So
I don't think that we've ever played a home game in snow in my memory. The one game I remember Auburn playing in just freezing cold was the 95 Georgia game in Athens, because I was at that game, and that was the coldest game I've been to probably some high school games that were colder, both in Sylacauga and here in Illinois, especially here. But that 95 Georgia game was like the very end of November. And it was one of those things where they were expecting heavy rain, maybe even freezing rain. But it was supposed to be warm. And something weird, we could ask Reynolds, right? Something weird happened. And instead of warm air and rain, we just got freezing cold air. And it was the one where it was the last game in Athens at all before they hosted the Olympics, soccer. And so they were actually ripping all the hedges out at the end of the game. And I remember wanting to set them on fire because it was so cold, but that was freezing cold. But it didn't snow or anything. If it had rained in the middle of that, we would have had snow or sleet for sure. That would have been the one regular season game but it didn't. It was supposed to, but it didn't.
We've definitely had some games at Jordan-Hare at the end of the season that were freaking cold. They were not pleasant. But no, nothing in the snow. And again, Auburn will play some. We're going to play freaking Notre Dame. You never know what it'll be like up there, but
you never know. Yeah,
but
dodged the bullet with Penn State.
We did. It was August or whatever, but September. But I'm not dying to see snow at home.
No. Nope. Not at all. Good question though. Interesting topic.
All right. Last email is from Rusty Owens, who emails in about our worst coach in the world segment and says, I assume that Nate Oates will be the worst coach in the world. He says, this is twice where he has played a player that he shouldn't, the first being Brandon Miller. This time, pulled a player from the G League 2 weeks after condemning Baylor for doing it. Then they host Tennessee at home with that player and lose. These events also have something in common. The judge who gave the restraining order is married to the defense attorney for Darius Miles, not to mention being a guest speaker for the School of Law at Alabama and a 6-figure donor. I guess the commercial was right. It just means more. Thanks, Rusty Owens.
Yep. That's I'll just never forget Joab Thomas holding up a football and a book and saying, at Alabama, we want to be as good at the book as we are at the football, and thinking you're on TV saying you're not very good with a book. They went right on television and told us that they were not really good with a book. Wow. There you go.
All right, that's it for listener questions. If you have any more, please email us at auwishbone@gmail.com.
I appreciate a little addendum to Samuel's indictment of Oates. I'll always take more charges, Your Honor, on that docket.
Well, and let's listen. We're getting ready to go around the SEC. I was going to pile on again.
So do it around the SEC and around the NCAA. Let's do it.
There's nothing funnier than the fact that, again, this is Alabama fans are trying to justify this by saying, all these other players are suing for eligibility, and foreign players who are professionals could come and play here, but they're all different scenarios, right? This is a guy who voluntarily gave up his eligibility to be a professional player. At the beginning of this season, the NCAA would have said anybody who did that is not ever eligible to play college basketball anymore. Alabama sued specifically with a super sympathetic judge to get this guy cleared. He gave him a restraining order. That one judge in Alabama, said to NCAA, you must allow us to play this guy. It's not a nationwide thing. They're not allowing other guys to come back. It's a very specific thing for this one guy. And he gave him that because of the snowstorm, they couldn't have a hearing today. So they gave him 10 more days.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. No.
I didn't hear that.
I think that probably covers into when they play us. I haven't looked, but it probably does. So but then they played him and lost to Tennessee. Very funny. Very funny.
And you know what the judge, when they asked the judge why he ruled that way, he replied,
I don't have facts to back this up.
But I'm pretty sure it involves.
And that's nothing but pure and simple old-fashioned communism.
I was just going to say that.
It's kind of the reverse, but yeah, I'll take it. Right? It's
Well, everybody's
pure old-fashioned capitalism, but okay. And meanwhile,
you already left to be a capitalist.
Exactly. That's the thing that just blows my mind is he's like, that absolutely means Charles Barkley could suit up for us if we wanted to. I mean, we could probably do better these days. He's getting on up there, but we got some guys we could bring in there. And again, the reason why we beat Florida, honestly.
I mean, they just say that we're some dogs, honestly.
That's it. And we had a little lull, but
I want you to put the word out there that we back up. Understand me? We back up.
Have you hit every button on the soundboard? Have we missed any? I'm just asking. I don't want any of those buttons to feel left out or hurt after.
I know. I think we didn't say.
Then so be it.
And maybe. All right. We're good now. We've covered all the – we've gotten a good sampling from across the board.
Soundboard completionist episode.
What should call it that?
You got your soundboard bingo. It should be fully covered at this point.
You got at least a row. Yes, you've got at least a row or a column somewhere. All right, John, we got this sucker in an hour and a half. Not too bad. Any final thoughts before we shove off and get ready for some Wednesday night Auburn versus Texas?
I'm just gonna say, like, basketball wins like that don't come along every week. Enjoy it, savor it. I'm probably gonna watch the highlights again after this.
What I tend to do on a game like that is I go into class before my students and I cue it up, and when my students are coming in, the 10-minute highlight video is playing up on the big 4K screen that I've got in my classroom. So it's all. I had a guy last week, finally, in the third week of our classes, I guess. This guy goes, "Oh, Professor Plexco, yeah, did you go to Auburn or something?" What gave that idea? Just my wardrobe every day and what I'm playing on the video board. I said, I always say I have two kinds. You know, if you've heard this story a million times, I have two kinds of clothes in my closet: Auburn gear and black for when Auburn loses. That's my two kinds of clothing in my closet. That's it. All right, John, our time is up. We thank you for yours. War Eagle, John.
War Eagle, man.